Morning, we're live. We have our coffee. Let's see if we can get a better angle here. I got bed hair going on. Brought to you by Like Trekking Corp / whatever you want. I am not paid for these live feeds. I don't have any endorsements. Let's see if we get. Oh, there we are. Oh, we already got people coming in. Awesome. We are. It's been a week for sure. Just angle this chair. Yeah. All right. Got the glare going on here. It's been an eventful week. Look at that, Charles. Look at you, $4.99. Now I'm being paid. Now I'm endorsed. I highly endorse Charles. He is the king. He is the king. First, and then of course we have the I Like Trucking. Now you got paid. That's awesome. $4.99 in less than 3 minutes. That's awesome. Thank you. Charles, you've always been generous. I appreciate you. Getting some people in here this morning. That's good. That's good. We'll get some more people in here. We'll do our shout outs and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. It's could be a life lesson, could be just a hack, could be just Steve's a dumbass, whatever you want to do with it, right? Because it's been a tough week so far for me, and I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just stating that there are things that I had to step up on, and with a little bit of help, we've made it happen. So, alrighty, what we got here? We've got Nittany Lion Charles, Don Shonger, the other trucker James Best, Daniel Adami, Bob G, GNC Family Trucking, good morning. Pigtail, what's up? Big Rake Radio Network, Jeffrey Life, wake up. Word up, Charles, Scott SRO Logistics, oh no, Mr. Bill, awake and semi-alert. Good morning. It's good to be semi-alert, especially if you're driving a semi. Nothing Winnie is not first. Great Freight Sage Logic, Thor and Thunder, good morning. Let's see, RN, Jeff Wilson, Charles, I already said you. More hacks, please. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Pigtail. Pigtail's another one that I really appreciate. He's actually a fan. He likes the things that I say. He hates it when I put down myself, which I'm sorry. I was 10th first. Yes, you were the 10th first. Eddie's in the house. Good morning, listening while taking the dog to the bed. I have to get the dog a flu shot. Never knew dogs got the flu. Next will be the COVID shot. Are you pulling my leg right now, Eddie? Really? You just completely interrupted the feed with that thought. That just blew my mind. Now I've heard of the kitty flu, and the way you look out for that is if the cats get a cold, it can actually be bad because if they can't smell, they won't drink water and they dehydrate. I think that's how it works. Okay. Finally got the pool clear for grandkids just in time because it is hot. I don't care if you're in the northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. It's hot. Of course, it is June, almost July, so there's that. Um, Next gen, you're not first off either. Also, Trucker Papa Buddy, morning Snorelord. Big Houston, Grafton, no sir, we are boarding our dog. They require a flu shot for doggy hotel. Oh, okay. Well, see, that I can understand. Kinda. But, yeah, just to randomly, like, oh, my dog doesn't get the flu this year, and go get it a shot, you know? It's like, how did dogs survive before humans came along? But I understand not wanting to spread any kind of sickness to other dogs. I can understand that. Probably a kennel cough shot. That I've heard about. That I've heard the kennel cough. We got a dog from the Humane Society one time, and that's what we had to deal with. He had the kennel cough. We didn't even know that was a thing until we got this dog, and I'm like, hey, he's not feeling right. It's like, yeah, it's probably kennel cough. It'll go away. I'm like, okay. John Kirkpatrick, good morning to everyone. Grafton, with the hand. All right. So, have you guys ever seen that movie, Better Off Dead? You guys ever seen that movie with John Cusack? It's the 80s. It's one of the infamous 80s, high school teenager movies. There's a spoiler, okay? There's a scene where this French girl that he ends up falling in love with, because that's what all teenage movies were about, was falling in love with someone. Is helping him rebuild his Camaro. And it seemed like things turned around for him in that movie at that point in time. And she said something that my wife mentioned to me, because, with the story I'm about to tell you. She said, all you needed was a taste of victory. Just a taste of victory to create success. Something along those lines. And it's not verbatim, but it's kind of around the same thing. So it's been a while since I've watched the movie. And that's exactly true. Small victories help you through the day. That's why, as a kid, you were told to make your bed and clean your room. It wasn't the parents being a dominating, totalitarian state. It was your parents trying to give you small taste of victory so you feel better about yourself. You feel better about going out the rest of your day. Now, I've heard some people say, well, making the bed's a waste of time. And I can see that argument as well. But there's something to be said. Every morning I've been making the bed here at home. And just out of habit. It's weird, But here's what happened. So I have to move a lot of furniture and get it into a small rental truck. And I realized that I can either pay somebody to do it, but I didn't know if there were places out there that would do that for their, like, I know moving companies will do that, but what if you're not loading their truck? You know what I mean? And we're trying to keep costs down as much as possible. I was going to use my own truck, but the roads that I need to go on wouldn't have worked. So I'm sitting here just overwhelmed, sitting here in my mom's house, overwhelmed with everything I needed to do. And I'm by myself at this point. And so I walk room to room, just kind of like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And try to formulate a plan. I created 3 pieces of paper and wrote and just scribbled, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Because my my sister, I have three sisters. One of my sisters was like, she was the one that kind of, she's ex-military. Like half my family's ex-military, and she was she was the organizer when she was in town, and we got the whole house packed within a week, you know, or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, I don't know. And when you pack up a 30 years, if not 50 years worth of family history in 2 weeks, that's a major feat. Number one ingredient is a dumpster. Okay, and I'll get to more shout outs here in a second. And I now I'm and they had to go, right? So now I'm by myself, and I just have no idea how I'm gonna get this stuff in. So I go to the bedroom and I see the bed. I lift up the mattresses. I'm like, well, I'll at least take this bed frame apart. And I found the Allen wrench. Didn't know how hard of it took apart, even though I used to build furniture. I was like, how does this, I don't even understand this part. And while I'm undoing all the bolts, I go to the back of the headrest, because it's a fancy, like, Ashley furniture bed, And there's the instructions right there, taped in a bag from the people that assembled it. So I look at the instructions, figure out how to take the rest of it apart. And then, a little like, Coach, I saw what you said there. And I contacted a person about who will load your truck if you're not using their truck. And U-Haul, Penske, there's a couple of local people that did it. That was this person sent me those texts of those companies, and now I had a bit of a plan, right? And the whole point of the story is within an hour, I was my mental state completely 180. I went from what am I going to do, overwhelmed, to all right, I got this. And 2 days later, I got a call from one of my other siblings, and I'm going to get some help, right? And so I put a thing on Facebook that I needed some help. And those of you who've answered, you truck drivers, I appreciate that. And an old friend of the family contacted me out of the blue, and she came over to the house, and we actually got all the furniture. And then my wife and youngest one showed up, and we've got all the furniture out of the house. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely insane. And just the four of us. And I feel better about things, right? And so the whole point of the story is, whether you're running a business, moving, dealing with health, it's the small victories that get you through life. It's the small victories that lead you to success. You don't win a war all at once. You have to win it battle after battle after battle after battle, right? And I can't tell you how many times, like in the trucking world, especially at Landstar, and then dealing with the spot market, you make phone call after phone call after phone call, and you keep getting shut down, and you keep getting shut down, and you keep getting, no, and you're sticking to your guns, you're sticking to your rate, right? And then you have that one load that actually comes through, and then you probably notice when that happens, what happens up here, you suddenly feel like, yeah, I got it, and that victory carries you through the rest of the day, especially if it's a good rate. even if it's not the best rate, but it gets you moving, if you're pressured to move, you know, each minute that you can get, even then, there's a sense of relief. There is a small victory, you know. You may not have gotten the rate you wanted, but now you're moving and there's going to be revenue coming in, which is a victory in and of itself. It's kind of like having that one YouTube video that brings you over the top. You know, I could sit there and plug away at each video, and then there'll be that one live feed or that one video that just like starts momentum. You know, small victories. And so when you look at your daily life, what small victories? It could be anything from making your bed, booking a load, to getting in a parking spot at the Pilot that's hard to back into. Even that could be a small victory that boosts confidence. You know, making a pot of coffee, that's a small victory. So it goes to what I've been saying in the past about perception. Perception is reality. If you perceive every single day as a bunch of little defeats, guess what? You're going to become a defeatist. If you look at each little thing as a victory, you're going to become victorious. That's I know that sounds simplified, but think about it. How much of our lives have so many complexities that you lose sight of what you need or want to do? If you simplify your diet, simplify your business strategy, simplify your market strategy, simplify, you know, as much as you can, those are victories in and of itself. So there's that. Let's read some comments here. Blue Line Coach OTJB had both the shots where they were tequilas that count. Nothing Woody loves the movie. Better off dead. Making my bed in the truck every morning. Shadow Wolf, good morning. U-Haul has an option to hire helpers. Yes. I did not know that. I did not know that. But we're not using U-Haul. But the other service has it too. Thomas Wilson, good morning. Big Houston, I appreciate that. I was hoping James Best would come over, but he won't. I've got some cartridge, casings for you if you show up, James Best. Bones Coopit, small victory getting my shoes tied because my gut has grown over the past year. Yeah, I have these Red Wing boots that have like 58 lacings, right? And man, at my heaviest, those were hard boots to put on. It was tough. It was tough. I feel you. Cash is King is in the house. The Trashy Trucker Show, Snorelord is live. That means it's almost time for my wife to call. If you solve enough problems, you become a problem solver. That's a very good statement there, Mr. Bill. So far away, but love to have. Yep, we could do that. Do you like it when it rains? I really don't, because some people live where it gets all muddy and then they drive out the road and get the road all muddy. That's a bummer. Living simply lowers decision fatigue. I'm going to read that again. Little Blanco says, living simply lowers decision fatigue. And I think that's what we all suffer from. You have a team of people to create micro strategy. If you own a company, like a bigger company, I don't care what kind of company it is, the bigger you get, the more you have to delegate people to help you with the micro strategies. because if you can't simplify, you have to delegate that. You have to, and look, like radio stations, instead of going, hey, what do the people want? They do these market, polls, and they do these online surveys, and they figure out that the colors blue and green and the logo make the radio station have 0.02% more ratings. They can really get into the complexities, yet they have the crappiest music. It's like, here's an idea. How about you have a good show that doesn't have 83 commercials in 5 minutes and is an entertaining show or an entertaining music program? How about that? Not what colors do people react to, So, and that affected me directly because there was a lot of like late night heavy metal shows that would play our music, and one of them had to stop. The show had to go off the air because the big wigs at the big corporate headquarters said, well, if you play this heavy metal crap at 11 o'clock at night and people, that's the last thing they tune in before they turn off their radio, that's it's like they tried to break down the science, and it's like, I don't know. It sucked. Owner operator is more stressful because you have more bills, fueling, paying for your own truck repairs. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely true, Kane. Bob and Tom ain't it. I agree. Whoops. I can't wait till we get self-driven trucks so I can ride and see the scenery. There you go. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Barack Obama, and many others. More of the same thing every day to lower decision fatigue. Yeah, I heard Einstein was like that too. Me, it's easy. I have different shirts, but it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a black heavy metal shirt, or a black trucking shirt, or a black pew pew shirt. That's why I like carnivore. Yes, the Levite Coach. That's been one of the best aspects. It's simplified. I go to the grocery store. I go to one section. I go to a restaurant. I look for one thing. I go to get food for the week. It's pretty much, I'm not worried about recipes or anything like that. Does it get boring every now and then? Yeah, but, what else are you going to do? When I was younger, the market research companies would call me and pay me for my opinion in a market research group. Right, and when you're being paid for your opinion, who knows what you're going to make up, right? I mean, if you really want to, like if a fast food place wanted to do market research and do surveys, you could really screw with them and give them the worst possible answer, and if they relied on the worst possible answer, if everybody did that, what would that do? That would make them, well, we don't understand why we're going out of business because the research says this. I mean, what the heck? And it's kind of like, and you can tell corporations that don't listen to their employees and don't listen to their customers. Pilot, anybody? If I was the owner, CEO of Pilot, if I was any bigwig of Pilot, and I pulled into, say, I don't know, Pilot Minooka, Illinois, I would be ashamed that this was my business. Same thing with Rapid Roberts or Conoco. You go to some of these convenience stores and you're like, this is not pride. This is not pride in your business. This is not pride at all. And to me, owning a store, owning a shop, there should be a sense of pride. Owning your truck, should be a sense of pride. Now, do you have to have $30,000 in chrome? No. But you want to be presentable. You want to be proud of your shop front. And if you're driving a truck, that's your shop front. But a lot of these franchise places, they just want your fee and they don't care how you handle the rest. And screw what the customer wants. Screw what the public sees you as, you know. Hope you leave up this feed. I have a teenager who needs to hear this. I will. Let's see. Hardee's had me tasting chicken sandwiches. Do you know any other languages or you just know English? No, I don't know. I took a year of French in high school and I absolutely forgot every single thing I learned about French, pretty much. So, the classes I did better at high school was ones that I could simplify all the different complexities. You know, and I don't know, it's just, look, small victories are important in life. And the more you can simplify, then maybe, you know, and that's what I had to do. Once I had that small victory, I categorized what I needed to do, everything that needed to happen, and I started to create a plan. So let's go to trucking for a second, okay? Let's say you know, I know people that went out after 10 years of driving, went out and bought a truck, a trailer, they got their own authority all at once. Now, for those of you who've ever gotten your own authority, you probably know all the different complexities that are involved with that. Anybody who's ever bought a truck, especially from a dealer, you know the complexities involved with that. Same thing with the trailer. Buying a truck is that's one of the other reasons why I haven't bought a truck, because it is a pain in the butt. Unless you're going up to the dealer and paying cash, which even then, you know, are you going to get what you want? And I know people that have, you know, Scott SRO is one of those people that literally went from being a contractor at Snyder to buying a truck and trailer and his authority all at the same time, never running the spot market and never dealing with brokers, with only 5 years experience as a truck driver. And he's taught me some skills about organizing. You know, Jeffrey Like has taught me skills about simplifying. The reason why Jeff does what he does and is able to do what he does. I mean, he had like 10 trucks and he was still driving at one point. Now, granted, he wasn't, you know, empty at a truck stop 800 miles away or anything like that, but he still ran the business from a laptop and a phone in the truck for 10 trucks. Because he simplified. He simplified the IFTA. He simplified the settlements. He simplified, you know, everything. And that's the key to his success. When he looks at a low board, and I've noticed this, the guys that look at a low board, if you overthink it, you may not run, right? But the way they look at low boards was very simple. Here's a low going from here to here. You know what I'm like? And I'll be like, well, that's going through the backwoods of Arkansas. Those are tough roads to get down. I'll lose a lot of time. Or that customer's known to be there for 6 to 8 hours. Or, man, that time's not going to work because I only do this much per day. Or, you know, it's like I overthink it, right? And then when I do something new that I haven't done before, I'm like, oh no, you know, my stress level goes up a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, I handle it well. Whereas the guy that doesn't care where he goes, he'll go to the Bronx, he'll go to East LA, he'll go to Laredo, You know, he'll go to 10 miles from Canada, doesn't care where he goes. Home time's not important to him. He's just going to go, 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 go. Well, that must be very liberating to look at a load board and just pick the highest number, the highest rate, call that load, and go, right? And if you do that, you're going to make a ton of money out here. Me, I'm a little bit more limited because of what I'm dealing with here at home, and also because I simplify in a different way. Because if you're the guy that will run any direction, anywhere, anytime, you're going to deal, for any broker, you're going to deal with a lot more issues with the broker, with the shipper, with the receiver, with different cities, which is our job. We're truck drivers, right? But I see it all the time on Facebook, and like, so a lot of my load selections are to avoid things that I know would happen if I did that. Like, there's a particular customer here in Springfield I will not deliver to because I know that they take 10 to 12 hours every time I've been there. And those of you who know who I'm talking about. There are places that I know will take 10 hours on load, like Target, and I will book those loads specifically at a certain time because I know that I can get detention, but I'll be in the sleeper getting that detention, you know? And I'm not worried about the next load because I will just book something the next day. So that's where experience comes in. So when it comes to, say, Scott, who's only been driving 5 years, I have more experience dealing with a wide array of customers because I used to run all 48 states. I've been, 47 of the 48 states. You know, I've been to Newark, I've been to Maine, I've been to Los Angeles, I've been to Laredo. Now, you know, I have nothing against Laredo. I'll go down there. You know, now, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but you know, you have people that like, I will go into Laredo, and then you got people like Pale Rider who would be Laredo dedicated if he could. And what's the difference? It's perception, right? Business strategies, yes. And so I minimize the headaches and the problems that come along by simplifying my running area. But it's not like I look at a load board, well, my 2 loads that I like doing aren't on there, so I guess I'm not running. I don't do that. And people get the perception that I am like that, and I'm not. But at the same time, if my normal load's there, I'm going to call it first if I can get the rate that I want. And, you know, because I love familiarity, because familiarity makes me more efficient. For example, there's a customer in Westchester, Ohio. It's tough to get there in one shot. And the 10-hour break to be done before you have to deliver. So you have to do it in one shot. And I know it going in, and so I strategize to know that I can always make delivery on time. There was a customer I used to pick up in St. Louis for Schneider. It always said, you know, you had pickup appointment time. These were loads that went out to Glendale, West Virginia. Super light load. You know, you Schneider guys probably know what I'm talking about. And I knew I could spend the night at that shipper. I knew that the appointment times were just a formality. They weren't really, you know, as long as you're here by 3, we'll load you, you know. And so when I look at the load board and I saw that load, I looked at it differently than someone who doesn't know that customer at all, who think, oh, I can't make that work because of the pickup time, or I can't make that work because, you know, I won't be able to spend the night there or something like that. And so my strategies are different versus the guy that might just pick anything and everything at the highest rate and just go with the flow. It's just, you know, but you're going to gain a lot of good experience running that way too. You know, and yeah, right. Pigtail is a very smart business person, even though he's not a truck owner, but he's in charge of a lot of truck owners. So the but yeah, minimize risk, and I think that's where some of my skill sets are. You know, when I buy a truck, I minimize the risk. When I buy a trailer, I minimize the risk. I do a worst case scenario for every decision that I've ever made. Hey, we're gonna buy. Um, you know, what's the worst that can happen if I bought a second trailer? Well, I sell it. You know, what's the worst that can happen if my truck engine blows up? Well, I've got credit and resources to get another one or to get it fixed. You know, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? What happens if they repossess the truck? Well, then our credit takes a ding, but we don't rely on credit a whole lot, so that's not a big deal. And credit is easily repaired. You know, I mean, but I didn't put myself in a position where they could take the house. I didn't put myself in a position where they could repossess my vehicles if I don't have, if I have, you know, I didn't, I never put myself in a situation where I could file bankruptcy. Because let's say that I get a phone call from the doctor that says, you can't drive your truck anymore. I've literally been offered $90,000 for my truck and trailer together. I think I could sell out pretty easily. And so I have an exit strategy if I need to. Now, do I have an exit plan in place? Absolutely not. There are things that I'm looking at as far as investments, but things have to be solved first before I could do that. But for the most part, I have exit strategies for everything. Now, on the flip side of that, if because it's not do or die, I tend to be a little bit more relaxed than I should be sometimes. And that could affect you negatively. So sometimes if you get to like, if you get to the point where it's do or die, that makes you, you know, if you know, it's kind of like learning to swim. It's easy to learn to swim in the shallow end, but once you're in the deep end, you have to know, right? You have to know how to swim. And so there's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of, okay, I really need to have my swimming act together because there's no failure. Whereas if you fail to swim in the shallow end, you just put your feet on the floor and you're good to go, right? And so you tend to be a little bit more relaxed in the shallow end, right? But in the deep end, you're like, okay, you know, that's what I remember as a kid when I was learning to swim. So it's the same thing. So I tend to be a master swimmer in the shallow end, and that can be a bad thing. You know, and I'm honest with you guys. That's true. Pilot can be blamed for ruining the truck stop industry. Livine Coach, I go to In-N-Out Burger only for burger patties because their customer service is off the charts. Other companies should study their business model. I agree. Why did you do school bus first and not just do trucking right away? Kane, because my family life was in a situation where I couldn't become a truck driver because my kids were real little, and I thought that becoming a bus driver was close enough, but all it did was make the bug to become a truck driver worse. So, and so we figured it out, and here we are. Smooth truck and Hardee's mushroom and Swiss hot ham and cheese. Team Tiny didn't have a CDL when he bought a truck, right? And that guy can probably run circles around me when it comes to figuring out spot market, especially on the power only side. Which, yeah, I have a couple of friends that are getting ready to do that, the power only thing, and I referred them to Great Freight Sage Logic's video interview with Team Tiny on you know, because what Team Tiny talked about with the power only strategies is the same skill sets that a lot of Schneider guys have to have in the trailer pool. Berkshire Hathaway will own 80% of Flying J in 2023. Hopefully they will get better. Last time I went In-N-Out, I asked them to put the toppings on top and they refused. So I said never mind and haven't been back. It's been 10 years now. I think Five Guys is better than In-N-Out. Let that resentment go, RD. The only one you hurt with the resentments is yourself. Let's see. Thomas is triggered this morning. Let's see. And yes, Whataburger is way better than In-N-Out. Smooth trucking. When we got our first In-N-Out in Colorado, we had 2-hour waits and fist fights and drive-through line. Isn't that crazy? Smooth trucking. Doesn't that bother people? Doesn't that make you think about something? If people are willing, I mean, look at the Popeyes chicken sandwich. People were shooting each other over that thing. There were fights breaking out in these long. There's not one food on this earth, nada, that is worth waiting 2 hours for. There's not one meal on this earth that's worth waiting 2 hours at all. When you go out to eat, you go out to eat because you're hungry. A 2-hour wait doesn't sound like it solves that problem. If you go out to eat as a social event, it's planned. And I don't see going to a new restaurant that people are fist fighting in the lines as a great place to choose for a social event. So what is it about the Popeyes chicken and the In-N-Out and all these different food companies that makes people absolutely just ravenous? I mean, you guys have seen the videos of people attacking McDonald's workers because they didn't get their order right. There's something else going on to that story, people. Does that not make you think about what are we putting in our bodies that makes people absolutely disgusting human creatures towards each other? Does that not click to anybody else? We were talking food here, not finances, lol. Depends on how tall you are. Little Bike Coach Dana likes water wings. Invest in autonomous software and self-driving technology. It's the big wave of the future. Still amazes me how relaxed I became once the debt was eliminated from our lives. We became dependent on no one. That's the way to go. Truth about trucking. Good morning. Do you see a lot of semi-truck crashes and traffic delays when you're on the road? Yes. Nailed it likes Five Guys. Autonomous vehicles are a pipe dream, according to the Viking Coach. Let's see. Cryptocurrency is the future. Invest now. Do your research. Invest now. Companies creating the stuff for electric cars is what you should invest in. Yes. There are some restaurants waiting 2 hours, but not worth fighting over, and definitely not Popeyes. Food for life. Look, there were certain places at Disney World that you would have had to wait an hour and a half to get in, but it's an event, right? It's there's this one restaurant that one of the kids wanted to go into, and the line was huge. But then my sister, who was connected because she works there, talked to the head chef, and he just let us in. She didn't even ask him. And it made the experience more pleasant. But that's why I hate going to amusement parks, because all it is an expensive walk and an expensive, let's wait in line for everything. Let's wait in a line an hour for this ride. Let's wait an hour in line to get a hamburger that you can probably get at Denny's. It's but it's got a fancy bun or something that other restaurants don't have. To me, that's not worth it. You miss the experience. How many families go to Disney World, pay $5,000, $6,000 to have a good time for the weekend, and all they do is wait in line and listen to their kids whine because they're having to stand in one place for 2 hours. What fun is that? All fast food tests positive for human DNA in the meats. Really? Southbound? It was 2 years. You can show artificial intelligence a million images of a stop sign, but if a bush covers the sign, AI will not recognize it. Little White Coach, I will disagree with that because we have technology in Samsara that if a driver does a rolling stop, then I get an alert. And how does it know it's a rolling stop? Because the map says it's a stop. And so if they go off that technology, then yes, it can be. But so far, it just depends. I mean, you have Domino's Pizza doing those little drone things, or not drones, but those little mobiles in Houston. And the other aspect of autonomous vehicles is that remote control vehicles. But it's going to be a long time before it could be a city dweller thing. But from point A to point B, like from, say, Phoenix to Oklahoma City, I can see that being a real thing. So, are you going to buy and pop fireworks for July 4th? Yes. We usually do some fireworks. I'm going to take my 22 also and do some rootin' shooting. Is the fast food that is tested by human DNA, is it before or after humans touched it, and is it served to you southbound? So did I nail it, but Thomas was talking about autonomous. A lot of the coins out will be banned. There will be a few that make it. Depends on use case. Not all are made the same. Well, truth about trucking. How do you know which digital currency is going to be accepted and which isn't? How do you know that? How do you learn that? And Thomas and Little Viking Coach, my two favorite wrenches, or among my two favorite wrenches, are arguing. Because I need a small victory when it comes to investing, stock options and stuff like that. I cashed out on a couple, and I didn't cash out. I switched. I gave up a couple and went to another because people said that you have to have kind of a hit and go kind of strategy when it comes to online trading. And that's kind of what I've been doing. Depends on the use case. XRP solves a problem. Cross-border payments. VeChain is used to track products. I'll spoon feed it to you later, Thomas, with some videos since your ignorance is showing. Says Little Viking Coach. I want to save smoke bombs for like 2 months and then put it under a car parked in the first parking spaces in front of a store so that people think it's about to catch fire. Yeah, I'll have fun with that, Kane. Have fun with that. You'll be like, why is there blue smoke or red smoke coming out from underneath your car? Go to Edward Jones and use professional invest. I've already done that. That's in progress. I'm just talking about the slot machine online. You do it with an app kind of stuff. And I have like maybe $200 involved in this stuff, and it's all like, it's very diversified. There's like 18 things I'm a part of, so on the blockchain. But hey, we're friendly to everybody's opinions here. There's no need for anybody to get upset. Chill. Must be 9 o'clock. Yep, YouTube is going nuts. I have so many subscriptions that upload the videos at 9 a.m. I could have a clear screen, and then at 9 a.m. I'll have 18 YouTube notifications. Was trucking my number one career pick when I was young? Yes. I'll give you the history of that, Kane. When I was a little kid, I loved trucks. I was obsessed in them. Movie Convoy came out. I got obsessed in the movie. My dad at the time was in the military. He was a gunny for the Marines. He had some experience driving big trucks in the military, but it wasn't a career choice by no means. He retires from the military, starts job hopping, can't quite figure out what he wants to do. A buddy of his needed help with the truck that was abandoned, so he did it. And he's like, this could be a good career for you. And he became a truck driver. To me, that was one step closer to my dream of driving a truck. Years go by, I ride with my dad. My dad tells me that he will be very upset if I drive a truck, if that becomes my career. Because he thought I could do better than him. Not realizing that I wanted to become a truck driver before he was, and then just him being a truck driver just solidified it. Well, I become I'm overcoming the idiocy of being the age of late teen, early 20s, and I make some life decisions that make to where I probably can't drive a truck at that point. My dad discouraged it, so then I found myself kind of lost. I became a good welder, but that was kind of by accident. I couldn't quite find a home where I was happy. Some of it was the place I was at, some of it was me. And then one day I decided that, let's try school bus driving. And I actually enjoyed that, but it didn't make enough money. It put a lot of pressure on my wife. So at that point, living in Springfield, everybody in Springfield is friends with at least one truck driver. There's a lot of truck drivers here in Missouri. One thing led to another. My curiosity was always good for the trucks. The timing was right, and I became a truck driver. So here I am. And the only thing that taints the job for me is the way business is done, the lack of courtesy by drivers, and how it's kind of a shit show at this point. So, but I still enjoy driving. I still enjoy putting the truck down the road. I still have a sense of pride when I deliver something. And so I made an investment, bought a truck, and it's had its good times, it's had its bad times, but that's any business. So, and I have as much control of everything as I possibly can. Here at Like Trucking, we have the most control that a person can have without getting your authority. So, and that's pretty much what's kept me from getting my authority at this point, is I have a lot of control, and I'm not sure if I want to deal with the complexities of having my own authority, especially since a lot of people say it's not worth it anymore. A lot of people that used to preach it was the easiest thing is now preaching that it's not worth it to have it. So, who knows? Go figure. But you might as well tell people, well, it's not worth it owning a truck. It's not worth it owning a business. So that kind of talk irritates me a little bit. So Jerry Reed actually did drive trucks before becoming a country music singer. That's why he drove Snowman's truck in the movie. Yep, and I heard Chris Christopherson really had to learn how to drive that truck in the movie for all the scenes. There's another movie called Driver. It's about this female truck driver. and she actually got her CDL for the role in the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. Opinions are what these live feeds are for. Let's see what's struck. Okay, invest in a 5 and or S&P 500 index fund. Some loser named Warren Buffett said so. How's the keto life going, Clydesdale? Um, it's good. It's more of a ketovore. I did have dinner with Ratman Roden the other day. We went to a Mexican restaurant. I ate one chip. It just didn't taste good. I had um, steak topped with and shrimp topped with some peppers and onions. And that was like the only vegetables I've had in a while besides the meal at the Japanese place that I talked about in that video. Um, but then, for dinner last night, I had literally pork chops, hamburger, and bacon. So, um, so yeah, it's more of a ketovore thing, but I'm still pretty much 99% carnivore at this point. But yeah, it's going well. In fact, I'm down to 262. That's what I was this morning. So. How old were you? On what? Nailed it. The stock market is just Vegas getting ready to crash now that free money is vanishing. Capital will let you have a Roth IRA with certain cryptocurrency. You can invest up to 6 to 7 grand and only pay the tax on it once. If it goes up in value, you won't pay capital gains on it. Thomas Wilson, you need to chill out, dude. Grew up in the trucking industry. Dad and uncle was truck drivers. I learned a ton from them, but the industry has changed a lot over the years. In truth, going into CDL school, I had a upper hand. I had the upper hand on the other people. There were people in the CDL school that never even seen the inside of a truck, and they didn't know what questions to ask the recruiters that came through the class. And so I had kind of the upper hand. I had everything but my CDL, kind of deal. And so that experience, even though I've only been driving, I think 11 years now, that experience has, with my dad, gives me the old school, the old mentality that was around in those times, the late 70s, early 80s, trucking, and I rode with my dad up until I was about 17, I think, which would have been 1980, 87. No, I rode with him after that. So late 80s. Hell, I might even hit the truck a couple of times in the 90s. But so I have the perspective of the old hands, but have the perspective of the new guys as well. And that's what made me such a great trainer at Transland, was I had, you put a new CDL school guy with a guy that's had his license since he was, for the last 30 years, got grandfathered in from the old, chauffeur's license. He doesn't know what that new CDL guy is going through. I still did. So it made me a better trainer, I believe, because I can use the perspective of the CDL student over just an old guy who knows more than you do, So, and that's important when you're teaching somebody. You got to be able to see their perception on how they're looking at things and how they're approaching things. Because their approach might be a certain way and you don't know why. If you don't learn to understand why, then how can you teach them to do better? I'm hearing the government's going to ban crypto, dump the dollar, and switch to digital currency. Who knows? Little guy show, what's up? The most needed jobs that will always be needed will guaranteed are hospital workers, truck drivers, and first responders. I'm going to disagree with a little bit with that. There's a lot of hospital jobs that are being phased out, believe it or not. 3-bid, 2-yard truck to pull a trailer out of a door, finally in a door. Awesome, man. Good deal. Your dad in Vietnam? My dad was drafted into the Marines. Oh yeah, he was drafted. He was drafted into Vietnam. Reading the comments. All right, Dave, I'm glad you're back. Right now, I'm just looking to retire in the next few years from trucking. That is how long I've been in the industry, and will take the last truck driver in my family to do it. And I will be the last truck driver in my family to do it, period. Yeah, my son was interested when he was young, but once he turned 15, 16, he had absolutely no interest in being a truck driver at all. Nurses and doctors, yes, that is absolutely true, Kane. Thomas, if you believe Bitcoin is a fake investment, what do you think the dollar is? It's fake printed money. Government, aka IRS, is already going after Bitcoin transactions that people didn't report. They can follow the blockchain right back to the transaction. Yeah, the dollar isn't backed by gold anymore. And, you know, Jeff speaks some truth too. So it's look, we live in Big Brother world. it's you can't. Chances are, you know, look at the coin shortage that happened earlier last year. By forcing everyone to use debit or credit cards, they could track every single purchase. Think about that. Think about like, well, I'm going to be prepared for the government, and so I'm going to go down to Bass Pro and buy as much ammo as I can with my credit card. Guess what? They saw that you bought 18 boxes of ammo at Bass Pro on your credit card. They want to look that up. They can find it, right? And so they know that this particular person has at least 18 boxes of ammo that he's been buying every month, you know, that kind of thing. So it's you have everybody with doorbell cameras now. You have everybody with security cameras, with all the crime waves that are happening. You know, people are protecting themselves more with either security or with weapons, or both. You know, security cameras, like, you know, that building that collapsed in Florida, they have security cameras of that. You can't do anything. You can't even go in you could be at a Walmart parking lot in the middle of Nowheresville, Nebraska, and there's a camera watching you, you know? What is the shallow end you speak of? Are you behind there, Scott? You know? Now we're having a three-way discussion. Man, cryptocurrency and autonomous trucks and other politics really get a lot of people talking. Is trucking easy or not, really? Depends on the person, really. What might be easy for me might not be easy for you. If you have easy road rage, if you're easily thrown into road rage, or if you struggle to learn, and you've had a pretty soft life, trucking is going to be incredibly difficult for you. If you're somebody that got their driver's license driving around, you know, Newark, New Jersey, learning to drive a big rig, you've got it. You've got it. Everything else will be cakewalk to you. You know, that's kind of the thing. If you got your CDL in the Northeast, you deal with a lot more problems than the guy that got his CDL in Omaha, Nebraska, and ran local there. So there's varying degrees. Is it an easy job? No. These people say, well, any idiot can drive the truck going down the road. Well, guess what? If that was true, you wouldn't have the 80,000 car pileups that happen every winter. You wouldn't have fatality wrecks. You wouldn't have, if it was just that easy to put a truck down the interstate. It takes a lot of patience. I think the more patience you can have, the easier the job will be. But you know, trucking definitely was a challenge for me, even with my background, even with the training I had. So, you know, so the short answer is no, it's not easy. The ones that will tell you it's easy, it's because it came easy to them. So there's that. Shopping GA ships has 1,009 million. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. Trucking is definitely not for everyone. And nailed it, that shop that ships. You know, that's the other thing. A lot of people bought ammo online, right? Well, what do you have to use online? A card. I pay well over 50% of income in taxes, Thomas, and they want more of the dollar. More of the dollars dead. I'm leaving for my home in Indonesia soon, Thomas. Depends on your perspective about truck. Yeah, exactly. Snorelord, we both have similar backgrounds in this industry. Both sides of my parents were truck drivers and have many generations that did it too, so in so shape or form. I think that you know, I have the complexities of running a trucking business, but I think that the more successful you are at trucking, the more freedom you have. So my perception of trucking might be a little bit different than a guy who just came out of CDL school, driving for a mega carrier, that's told that he's got to do 600 miles today and try to find parking in downtown Dallas at 4 in the morning. I don't put myself in that situation. So if you're that person in that situation, you're being put through boot camp. You're put through the you know, you're learning baptism by fire, right? And you know, that's why I tell these Schneider Finance guys, if you can manage a $4,000 a month truck note running one board, you get your costs down and come to the spot market, you're going to do very well. It toughens you up. And you look at things differently when you've had it tough right out of the gate. So I don't put myself in those positions anymore. So in some ways, I'm not. I don't put up with. I don't put up with as much other tough things as other people do. So, you know, that in some ways I find myself, I've kind of gotten soft a little bit. And I'll admit that to you guys. So when I do have that one run that's paying really good going up to, you know, Jersey or something, I'll be like, you know, and that's where my instinct and experience has to kick in. But I can get it done. If I had to do it, I could do it. So. Heading to Hot Market, Savannah, deliver tomorrow. Just got $4 a mile from Savannah to Locust Grove. I've heard that Savannah Market and Atlanta Market are really hot right now. What scares me about being a truck driver is having the tandems on the right spot and doing very tight right-hand turns, and also having to do right turns with tandem slid all the way to the rear. Um, if that is one of your worries or fears, since you use the word scare, then that's easily practiced. That's easily dealt with. Very rarely should you ever be in a position to have the tandems all the way back doing city driving. Very rarely. And getting the tandems in the right place is just like balancing a scale. It's pretty easy once you know the math. Well, Snorelord, look at me. I'm retired from Teamsters. So I'm back driving again. I love it. And you know why, Thomas? Because you're making good money and you've got a really good company that you work for and you've got a good dispatcher. So you're enjoying it. So I'm happy for you. Matt is on his way to Springfield. Mo. I think we're getting some thunderstorms later today. I could be wrong. Define success in trucking. Wow, look at Pigtail with the loaded question. I downloaded Credit Karma after about a couple of weeks. I was scrolling through the webpage. Normally just check my score. What'd you do, Nailed it? I missed something you said. Define success in trucking. If you're making money and you're happy and you've got good balance, to me, that's what success is. Success is different for each person. You could look at another YouTuber and say that he's not successful because their definition of success doesn't follow your definition of success. There are people that make way more money than I do, but yet their home lives are trash, or their bodies are broken, or their kids grew up and they barely remember what that was like. To me personally, that's not successful. So that question, what is trucking? What is success in trucking? Is up to each individual, and those needs change as time goes on. You know, maybe in the beginning it's all about money, and maybe towards the end it's all about home time. For me, it's somewhere in the middle. I want to be able to make money to where everybody's comfortable, but I don't want to not be able to enjoy life at all. You know, I don't want that. And I don't want to be broke either. I don't want to be in massive amounts of debt because, you know, something happened that I couldn't, you know, I've literally taken almost 2 months off, guys, for this family issue I'm dealing with. 2 months off. How many of you in this chat can afford to be off for 2 months? And when it comes to trucking business, now, you know, my wife makes money, and she handles the majority of my house bills. But how many of you can survive 2 months on no revenue? And so there's a balance. To me, it's all about balance. It's about money and home time. Now, when you see that in the back of these recruiter ads or these trailers that say more money, more home time, it's an oxymoron. You know, 1 month I might run my butt off, but then things get neglected at home that are my responsibility. And my wife does a really good job of running the ship, you know. But if I find myself home too much, then the finances start to struggle a little bit. So there are some months that I run hard, and then there are some months that I kind of run too easy, or I'm forced to because the truck was down, or there's something at home I'm dealing with. And those are the things that not a whole lot of YouTubers talk about. We can talk about truck purchases and lease purchases, and we can talk about operating costs, and we can talk about warranties, you know, we can talk about getting your truck payments down. But what about, for example, if you're on a 6-year note on a truck, When was the last time that you were able to do anything in your life consistently for 6 years without some kind of huge ordeal happening in your life? Whether you got sick, whether you lost a family member, or, you know, you've been through some tragedy, or the truck did something major. When was the last time you were able to do anything for 5 or 6 years straight without any issues, without any problems? So that is what a lot of people don't think about. You can have warranties out the yin yang, but if you can't make your truck payment because you couldn't run for 2 months, what good is that warranty? I've seen trailers that don't have movable tandems. Usually tankers don't have movable tandems, or flatbeds. And you just learn, but as far as a dry van that don't have movable tandems, that's very rare. It stored how I drive and how I knew how I used my phone. Haven't done that one yet, making a killing in Savannah though. Success is solely based on happiness, right? I know a lot of people that think they're successful, but they're not very happy. Like, well, what a waste. What a waste of life. Little Vine Coach can. There you go. Steve, being gone from home is the way it is in trucking. It was tremendously worse years and years ago. Yes. Look, my dad, when he first started driving, his first year, he was home every 3 months. He was home for the major holidays, and that's it. The trucking industry is more geared towards the short hauls. And where I live makes that easy. Now, if you're living somewhere obscure, you're not going to get home as much. But it's easier, and I will admit, it's easier for me to find balance living in Springfield, Missouri, because I can throw a rock and hit I-44 from here. So it's plenty of loads that go through the house, right? And I may not be home. I think for the most part, I can at least do a 34 at home, or at least a 10-hour break at home. I can be out a month, but still get through the house enough to see everybody. You know what I mean? You did a blind back with no pull-up, success. There you go. You ever have that morning where you just like you get in that spot the first time, you're like, yeah, nobody's looking at you because nobody else is there. But then like every driver in the world's watching you back in the spot, or they're waiting on you, and it takes you like 18 pull-ups, or you get it in one shot on a hard back, but then you have all the room in the world and you can't. It takes you like 3 or 4 times to get in the dock just right. It kind of escapes. My company load planners just got mad at me because I couldn't actually do what they wanted, so they tried to punish me by having me sit at home for an extra day. See, Robert Daniel, I don't put up with that. That's the thing. Never Snorelord, it's called life, and it waits for no one. I told my boss this is not a punishment for me because I have other things I can do at home. There you go. Didn't the old 45-foot vans, no sliding tandems? Maybe, but, Daniel Adami, what did you miss? I was on the phone with possibly my new wife, LOL. Do you have a TV in your truck, and what movies have you watched in your truck recently? I do have a TV in the truck, but I very rarely watch it. Usually if I'm doing movies, it's Netflix on the phone. My TV's been on, I think, like 6 times in the last 4 years. Simply because I'm either watching YouTube or doing YouTube or watching Netflix. But the TV's in the truck with a lot of dust on it. Do I watch series or movies? Every now and then I'll get on a binge. I think the last series that I watched was, I don't know, like I'm looking forward to the new Ozark. I'm looking forward to the new Cobra Kai. Um, I'm looking forward to the new Dexter, even though I don't have Showtime, so I got to figure that one out. I haven't finished Vikings. I want to finish Vikings. I have that all on DVD because that's not on Netflix. So every now and then I've got a portable DVD player. I'll hook up and watch that. But I really don't spend a whole lot of time watching series anymore. I find myself that like every now and then I'll go back to an old one like Sons of Anarchy or Walking Dead or whatever. And I find my production going down. So ever since I've been the safety manager at Like Trucking, I've kind of cut back on my binge watching. Now, Cobra Kai is easy because it's a short series. There's only like 8 episodes, that are half an hour a piece or something like that. But for the most part, I would like to finish Vikings. And I've tried to start a couple of new series, but I haven't been able to stick to it. So... And a lot of that's because I don't eat as much, and bear with me. So one of my favorite rituals was once I get parked, I would cook my meal, I would set Netflix in front of me, and I would eat till I was like gored, till I was like over full while watching some TV shows or something, while watching, some series that I was hooked onto. So I had no idea Credit Karma would monitor my driving and would send me my driving score to Progressive if I wanted an insurance quote. Huh, that's weird, nailed it. Do you like show Family Matters or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Full House? Fresh Prince is probably the better one of the three. I'm pretty, I don't do video games at all. I think video games, for me, is the biggest waste of time ever. But you can play a trucking video game and then identify as a trucker on YouTube, and you'll be in good shape. So you don't need a CDL at that point. Trucking along with Kirsty, what's up? All right, guys, we're over an hour. You know me, I don't like to go over an hour. I'm getting a lot of compliments on the 2-hour live feed I did the other day, and I appreciate that. I was in a zone. They were great for seeing a docking hours. Look, if you're a company driver or you're a dispatched lease driver, I can see the importance of having some time wasters like that. There was a time where I did have a PlayStation in the truck, but I got frustrated and broke it, so there's that. I don't have the patience for video games. And but when you're running a business, it's hard to find time for those things. I mean, some people are able to do it, and that's great. But there's a lot of things that I'm behind on mentally and physically, and so I'm just trying to catch up. So I think the last show that my wife and I binge watched was what was it called? One about the meth guy. Oh, help me out. Why is the name escaping me? About the guy that was had cancer and was making meth. What show was that? With Bryan Cranston. What the hell? Breaking Bad, yes, thank you. Everybody's shouting Breaking Bad. And then the movie afterwards, the El Camino. That's a great movie. I thought that was a perfect ending. So, too much learning for games and binge watching shows, right? And I've gotten this habit where I'll listen to audiobooks even if I'm not driving. Problem with audiobooks is that I get interrupted a lot. So now Haggy says try a card game app like Uno. I didn't know there's a card game for or an app for Uno, but I do use solitaire on occasion. That's usually when I'm in the caves and there's no signal, or I'll listen to an audiobook that I've downloaded. That's but I'm only in the caves. I don't think I've ever been in the cave for more than 2 hours. So, Better Call Saul. I have not watched that yet. I've heard that's one that I'm having trouble starting because I think that's the other. I'm hesitant to start certain ones because I know that they will become. I'll lose my production because I'm and right now with everything I'm dealing with, they're all too many. I have too many distractions enough as it is. So hit the thumbs up button, hit the like, smash the like button, subscribe, share, and Sunny. July is World Carnivore Month, really, LBC? That's cool. And like everybody got ticked off at the ending of Dexter. I didn't mind it. It made sense to me because the FBI has said that there are serial killers among the trucking community. It makes it easy, right? So for a serial killer to go the opposite spectrum of the country and become a truck driver seemed legit to me. I don't like how they spoiler alert, I don't like how they killed off Deb, but that's about it. We're talking to Red Chicken. Yep, Red Chicken and I have done a few videos in the cave. I go to a chicken place a lot, and I'm waiting for the right opportunity to make a video there. And it'll be hilarious if I can ever get to that. V is for victory. I'm a week from my 90 days with my authority. Ooh yeah. All right, there you go. Look, Chucky is one of those guys that has found balance himself. I mean, I admire Chucky. He's doing all the things that these YouTubers say you shouldn't do, and he's making it happen. But that comes down to his work ethic. He realizes the odds are stacked against him, and he overcomes them every single time. So, Red Chicken Trucking TV. He's only got one video on there right now. The other Red Chicken videos, I think, might be in a playlist. I'm not sure. Working on your authority, truth about trucking? Excellent. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is a good audiobook. I've been doing a lot of these self-help books, but I've had to kind of get away from that because I don't want information overload. So I downloaded a book that is about the ice truck killer, or ice pick killer, or whatever. He was the guy that worked for the mafia, Robert Kosowski or Konsut. I'm trying to remember his name. I downloaded that audiobook. Robert Konsinski. Truth About Trucking. I have questions for you if you have any time. Absolutely. Killing it. 75K in 90 days with home time and breakdowns. Excellent. Iceman Killer, yes. Gross, of course. If you ever finish paying for your truck and you become homeless, you can use your truck like a small home and take showers somewhere else. Kane, I've already paid the truck off, so yes, that is an option. Donnie Luke, what's up? Did you want to ask those questions here, Truth About Trucking, or did you want my phone number? People are waiting with a bated breath to get my phone number. Shoot me an email, okay. Yep, shoot me an email and we'll have a conversation. Because my list is limited what I'm going to do today. I got to go out to the other house and figure that out, and then I got some stuff I got to do around here. So, good coffee. Kolinsky, yes, Kuklinski. Yeah, it's a hard name. Save the extra money, Charles, for the hard times next year. Charles is well aware of that. He will do that. He is a smart person. I don't drop until tomorrow. You can send me an email anytime, and then we can talk anytime. So, but don't take it as the truth. He exaggerated a lot. He never worked for the mob. He just bought his guns from them. Dutch. That's interesting. People have told me descriptions of the book, but the movie didn't touch on that. There was a movie about him. It was actually pretty cool. Um, it has Winona Ryder in it. I thought he did a really good job portraying the guy because if you watch interviews with the real guy, he's got very close. Um, the stories that I've heard from the BTK killer, those are some horrific stories that he's said in interviews. I mean, just absolutely relentless, absolutely relentless. They were supposed to make a new Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I think that got put on hold thanks to COVID. So you got to have some fluidity when you're in the spot market. You got to prepare for the downtimes. You know, James Best has been talking about that for a while. And I'm not doom and gloom, but I definitely know what down markets look like. And when I start seeing signs of it, you know, that's when you kind of like, right, there's clouds in the distance, prepare for the storm. So far, I haven't seen those signs yet. I don't see the clouds yet, but the wind has changed for sure. Watch the fake news network channels with James Freeman. Rainy Day in Michigan. Watch Michael Francis on YouTube, a reformed mobster, or Sammy Gravano. He has a YouTube channel these days. They do have some info on him and laugh at his so-called statements. I'm sure there's a lot of stories out there. How many of us exaggerate trucking stories, or how many people exaggerate fishing stories? I'm sure in a circle of killers, there's stories exaggerated there as well. But all right, guys, we've been on here for over an hour and a half. Thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. I think I've talked enough. I got stuff I got to do. I'm not an all-day marathoner like Mr. Best. Catch Predator video. Yeah, I've heard about that show. I would like to. Again, I don't. I do a lot more TV at home than I do on the road. That's for sure. So, yeah. Truth About Trucking. Send me an email. We can even have a phone conversation. I have my headset always nearby, and we can have a talk. So, but anyways, guys, thanks for watching. give yourself little victories so you can be the person and the business owner or the truck driver or the investor that you want to be. That's the bottom line. If you missed the whole video but you're in here now, you don't have to watch the whole thing. That's what it is. Okay. So anyways, guys, peace.